Straight ahead, a scare in Stillwater and the state. State troopers now investigating the connection of multiple false active shooter calls earlier this morning, continuing to find a suspect. Changing an old standard. One state senator now looks to change the rating system on books in libraries. Find out how they believe it will give parents a sense of ease. Finally, one former Oklahoma senator now donating his papers to be archived here in Stillwater. More on what those papers will detail and how long they've been around. All that and more coming up. The Daily O starts now. Good evening and welcome into the Thursday edition of the Daily O. I'm Zach Berger filling in for Emma Lightfoot. We're glad you're with us. We began tonight's broadcast with a scare for students and parents of the Stillwater Junior High. Stillwater, along with 3 other schools in the state, were victims of a false threat this morning made to the police. According to the Stillwater police have now confirmed that the active shooter call was untrue, as well as confirmation by officials there is no threat. Stillwater wasn't alone, as police in Medford, Miami, Enid, Perry, and Tulsa all received individual calls with threats that are now deemed false, ensuring those schools are safe. A current investigation is now underway to locate the suspect who placed these calls, or if these events are connected. In other news, Oklahoma State has now been named the place to archive former Senator Jim Inhofe's papers from his time in office. Inhofe announced OSU on Wednesday told all of his records dating all the way back from the 1960s. The former senator first began his career in D.C., serving as the state of Oklahoma in 1994, then announcing he will not return to re-elect after the 2022 midterms. An Oklahoma State senator has proposed a bill that would change the rating system for books in local schools. State Senator Warren Hamilton now looks to change the rating for books to the system used for rating movies, rating from G to rated R. In a news release, Hamilton states that the rating system would be an alternative to banning books, while giving parents a better understanding of the material that children read. This comes following the state of Oklahoma began cracking down on the books in schools for children to read, citing that certain books may make a student feel discomfort or guilt about their race or sex, otherwise known as House Bill 1775. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll go into more news.
Our state is one of the most beautiful and unique states in the USA. With diverse geographies, the historic Route 66, unforgettable restaurants, and some of the greatest people on the planet. With so much to see and so much to do, living in Oklahoma means one of the best vacation spots is right in our own backyard. Doesn't this story need to be told? As filmmakers and photographers based right here in Oklahoma, we thought so. And hey, who doesn't like a good road trip? So, we packed up our cameras, teamed up with Lieutenant Governor Matt Pinnell and the Oklahoma Tourism and Recreation Department, and that's how this series was born. We want to show you why traveling within the great state of Oklahoma is a great idea. So come join us for thousands of miles over the next year, from Broken Bow to Black Mesa. This is the Oklahoma Road Trip.
My name is Kayla. I've been here since the beginning, so 4 years. Scratch is more focused on farm and mostly made in Oklahoma products, keeping it local. Sustainability is our biggest thing. That's one of the reasons why this place opened.
I've been the chef here at Scratch for 2.5 years. Started here as a line cook. Our food and drinks are a bit separate entities almost inside the restaurant. So the food is now up to 85% of the products we bring in are raised or grown locally. It's all based off of things that I grew up eating in southern Oklahoma, the things my grandparents ate.
Fresh food, clean food, organic food, sustainability, that's all of our thing. From front of house to back of house, we're able to maintain both with freshness. But made in Oklahoma means we get it straight from the farms that are 20, 30 minutes, another little county away. We get it straight from them.
Well, how I got started was my daughter said, "Mama, why don't we rent a booth at the Quarter Horse Show?" And it was very, very good because You know, when you're giving your jelly away for free, people really do love it. But when you ask them to pay for it, then that's a true test. What makes my product so unique is the Scotch bonnet pepper. And the Scotch bonnet is the Jamaican pepper. And I had lived in Montego Bay, Jamaica for 4 years. So I learned how to handle the pepper and how to cook with it. I always say, you don't do this on your own. I mean, you have so many people that help you along the way. For me and for many of us, that's my name on that jar, and it better be good.
Welcome back to the Daily O. OSHA has now set massive fines for an Arkansas-based company after 2 workers died from unsafe conditions in Edmond this June. According to the report, 2 men were conducting testing below the ground before passing out due to a lack of oxygen. The report also details that the company, Belt Construction, did not test oxygen levels, as well as having any rescue equipment nor a rescue harness for the workers to wear. Underground, on top of the findings, the company also did not obtain permits for this work, which is required by federal law. After the report was complete, OSHA has now charged Belt Construction with 8 different violations, 6 of them serious and 2 willful that played part in the worker's death. The Texarkana company has also been fined nearly $300,000 for the incident. Taking a look into your national headlines, joining us in the studio at the news desk is Dylan Walker with the latest. Dylan?
Thanks, Zach. 3 people were shot, including 2 D.C. public school students, on a metro station platform earlier today. Transit police say that the suspects, 3 juveniles, were on their way to school when they got into a fight with a 15-year-old boy. One of the 3 opened fire, hitting one person as they are now in critical condition. 2 bystanders sitting on a bench, and a woman and another 15-year-old boy were struck by bullets. The woman was taken to a hospital with injuries that may be life-threatening. The teen's injuries were not life-threatening, The 3 suspects ran away. Metro Transit police are leading the investigation. New details have emerged on the man accused in a mass shooting that killed 5 people last month at an LGBTQ nightclub in Colorado Springs. It comes after the court unsealed an affidavit Wednesday saying police overheard suspect Anderson Lee Aldrich tell medical staff that, quote, he was sorry he had been awake for 4 days. Police also released screenshots from surveillance video. One appears to show Aldrich exiting a vehicle wearing a ballistic vest, carrying an AR-15 style assault rifle. The other photo shows him firing upon entering Club Q. Initial reports indicate that Anderson was believed to have sustained a gunshot wound to the head, but in reality he hadn't. The Keystone Pipeline system has been shut down after a leak was discovered near the border of Kansas and Nebraska. The pipeline is a 2,700-mile system that delivers Canadian and U.S. oil to major refineries across America. Canada's TC Energy announced it launched an emergency shutdown of the pipeline Wednesday night. After alarms triggered and pressure dropped in the system, TC Energy said in a statement, there has been a, quote, confirmed release of oil, end quote, into a creek south of Steel City, Nebraska, and that they are working to contain and prevent the leak from further spreading. After the announcement of the pipeline shutdown, U.S. oil prices climbed 4% higher to nearly $75 a barrel Thursday morning. No timeline has been given for restarting the Keystone Pipeline. We're going to send it back to Zach.
Thanks, Dylan. We're going to take another break, but don't go anywhere, as when we return, we'll tell you everything you need to know in the worldwide of sports.
Ace in the Bowl Salsa started many, many years ago. I was trying to find a recipe to take to a family gathering, and so I started messing around with different recipes, and I took a little bit from here and a little bit from there, and I came up with a salsa that is truly unique. Ace in the Bowl Salsa is an olive oil-based salsa with tomatoes, green chilies, green onions, and black olives. There's no sugar added, it's gluten-free, low-calorie, low-carb, low-fat, low sodium. So it's a very, very, very good alternative to any snack you may want. As of right now, I'm just looking to be in Oklahoma and having a successful business within the state. If my grandkids could ever take it over when they're old enough, that would be my dream.
I'm Kristen Hawkins. I went to Oklahoma State University here in Stillwater in '99 to 2004. I've always felt like Stillwater needed more family-friendly things to do, and we have opened up AR Workshop. We do everything from knitting blankets that can be done in a 3-hour class, and we create doormats and porch signs, the Christmas wreaths with our yarn that we use for the blankets. We also do, we just started a new project for gnomes, and we've done pumpkins during the fall. But our big thing that we do here are interior signs. Our designs are extremely unique to AR Workshop. Customers come in, everything is here for them to do. They create everything. They can be as hands-on as they want. They came in here to relax and have fun, and that they are proud of their project that they've made.
Pecans are staple to Oklahoma. In fact, many of our native pecans come from trees that are older than Oklahoma statehood.
My father's the one that got us started into the pecan picking. I was probably 10 or 12 years old, and we started off with one little mechanical picker that you pulled behind a four-wheeler. Then we'd go home at night and we'd clean them on a TV tray. I guess watching my dad work hard when we were young, and people started trusting him and getting more and more groves, we just kept growing.
Being a relatively new and fresh company, we get to sit in the same room with people who have been a part of the Oklahoma economy for decades.
It's opened a lot of doors. It's gave us quite a bit of exposure, and I think people, will take a small company like us a little more serious. We're just going to continue growing as long as our community lets us and our customers keep on buying, and we'll see where it takes us.
We use the very best of the best ingredients. Demerara sugar is the best that is. Very high quality fruits, berries. The milk we use is the best milk there is. That's what makes our product stand by itself. I like to make yogurt because I like to eat yogurt. We've been doing this for ourselves for many years because it's a tradition in our family. And we want to have a product which would be very similar to French yogurt, but with our touch of uniqueness, linking our name, our products, with the reputation of the Made in Oklahoma Coalition was probably the best thing we have done as far as promoting our product.
Welcome back. Moving over to the sports side, on Wednesday afternoon, the OSSAA met to discuss a possible change to add shot clocks to high school basketball games, to mixed reviews. One proposal on the table would be to require a shot clock in classes 6A through 2A for the 2024-25 season, or year, while making it optional for teams in the 23-24 season. When asking coaches for their feedback for adding one, coaches in the 6A to 2A were in favor of the change, but the opposite could be said for those in Class A and B. Those who currently oppose the idea say that the expense of adding shot clocks to their stadiums is too much for some schools to finance, while also having to find table workers as well as training them. Back here in Stillwater, Cowboy football seems to be active throughout the transfer portal, now adding a new replacement in the linebackers room. Wednesday afternoon, former Tulsa linebacker Justin Wright announced his commitment to the Orange and Black for his final season of eligibility. In his work last season for Tulsa, Wright amassed over 100 tackles, 2 sacks, fumbles, and a fumble recovery, being named as an All-AAC second-team selection. The Abilene Texas native now looked to compete for a starting spot following the departure of Mason Cobb to the transfer portal. The Cowboys look to continue acquiring more help through recruiting and the transfer portal to help fill the 11 spots created from players electing to depart. In other news, one former Cowboy has now been inducted into the College Hall of Fame. Running back Terry Miller was one of the 18 players inducted on Wednesday. Throughout his time in Stillwater, Miller's legacy continues to hold up in the record books. The former two-time All-American and Big 8 Offensive Player of the Year finished his collegiate career rushing for over 4,700 yards while finding the end zone 49 times. Miller is second all-time in program history for rushing yards and touchdowns. Moving over to the hardwood, Cowgirl basketball continues on a roll early in the season. While the team continues to gel with 9 of the 13 players on the roster joining this season, that doesn't mean head coach J.C. Hoyt has everything mapped out with roles for each player. One change for the Cowgirls' rotation has seemed to be a breakthrough for their offensive game. Carlos Cortez has the story.
The Cowgirls are having a great start to the 2022-23 season with an 8-2 record, with their recent victory coming to LMU 86-65. Some of this success is thanks to the transfer fifth-year senior Terry Milton, who recently has taken the point guard role for the Cowgirls and has led them to a 4-1 record as the main point guard. Milton, who transferred from UT Arlington, has been averaging around 10 points per game and 4 assists per game. While Milton is a natural point guard that makes her teammates better, head coach J.C. Hoyt says.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Taryn is just such a natural point guard. She always has been, and to be honest, Mimi really isn't. She just kind of had to be at UMKC, and so it's been fun watching Taryn get to, operate in her strengths and then really position Mimi to get to play more off the ball, which creates more scoring opportunities for her.
This move was made after the loss against Kent State, where Naomi Alnaras and Terry Milton switched positions in the court, and now Alnaras has taken more of a shooting role for the team. Milton is that player that brings the energy to the offensive side and defensive side of the basketball. But Milton, her offensive scoring is not her priority. Her priority is to feed the ball to the hot hand.
You look at just whoever has the hot hand. And a lot of times in the Mexico trip it was Mimi, so yes, I was looking for her, but just whoever has the hot hand, we all just have to know it and get them the ball.
With this position change, Naomi Alnaras has been more comfortable shooting the ball and scoring on this new OSU offense. Alnaras has been averaging 15 points per game for the Cowgirls this season. Milton is such a fun player to play with, Alnaras says.
She's a great player, and it's so much fun to play with her. I just think that we all have our moments. If you look at Cancun, I just started it and she finished it with all those and-ones, So I just think that it's just a great thing to be part of a team that have so many different threats. And I will forever be thankful for T.
The Cowgirls' next game is Sunday, December 18 against UNLV at 3 p.m. in Gallagher-Iba Arena. Reporting for Ocali TV, I'm Carlos Cortez.
Thanks for that, Carlos. It's time for our last break, but when we come back, it's the battle of Vegas and LA for Thursday night. We'll break down both squads as they prepare for battle. Also, time to take one last look into your national headlines from the sporting world. Don't go anywhere. The Daily O will be right back.
We would design something, it was set on the counter, and people was either, if enough of them said, this isn't it never made to the line. Dad was excited that they're all original. They were all designed on Mom's kitchen table, and it gets in your blood after a while.
We're very happy that Pamela and Michael have taken over the business and kept the family going.
We took the business over in 2017. When we found that it was available, we wanted to keep the legacy of family alive, but it was also incredible products that deserved to be a part of Made in Oklahoma's story. We were a part of Made in Oklahoma years ago, and so it kind of grew as Made in Oklahoma grew.
Oklahoma is ingrained into everything that we did. We've been here most of our life. That's what we entailed our whole business on, was the Oklahoma homegrown feeling.
Tucked away in the city of Ripley, Oklahoma, the award-winning Washington Irving Trail Museum showcases the heritage and history of Payne County. This museum holds antiques, treasures, and artifacts that one cannot find at any other museum. With hundreds of historical antiques that display OSU history, along with Native American history, the museum has it all. The museum is well known for their book containing pictures and news articles about Frank Eaton, the original Pistol Pete. Dale Kluber opened Washington Irving Trail Museum in 1994 with his collection of historical mementos. This museum is filled from wall to wall with Oklahoman history. The Washington Irving Trail Museum is 15 minutes outside of Stillwater. Experience history at one of Oklahoma's hidden gems.
My name is James Remedi. Fired Up Stilly is the name of the business, and I'm one of the owners. We all three met, the three owners, working as employees at a similar place like this. What I hope for is for everybody to feel welcome, like family. Not only do I want students to feel welcome to come here and study and use our free Wi-Fi, but also I want adults and families to be able to come in. We've built a connection with a lot of people, and Stillwater's a big community, so we just want to invite everybody to be able to eventually make their way through our doors. Well, definitely the teas, I would say. Most people fall in love with them. They just got a great amount of energy, gets you going through your day, and it just kickstarts you to get everything you need to done. For myself, it would just have to be, being the owner, owning something that, is able to impact other people's lives, and, the way we can affect our community is something that I really have always wanted to do. We love our clients and our customers that come through every day, and we enjoy getting to know them.
Over the years, we kind of realized that you can get ribs anywhere, you can get a steak anywhere, but you can't always get a Mountain View hot link like ours. So we really decided to focus on that niche and realized we had something really special. So that's when we started focusing more on the hot links, but it's still the same family recipe they were making all those years ago. For us, many of our people that work here have been with us for years and decades. So whereas machines kind of break down over time, the people just get better. And it shows in the products we produce. When you buy a Mountain View product, not only is it going to taste dynamite, but you're also feeding Oklahomans. You're helping employ Oklahomans, and you're helping to fund the state's economy. So what's better than that?
Welcome back. Week 14 of the NFL season kicks off tonight in the City of Angels, as the Las Vegas Raiders travel to face off against the LA Rams. Both teams have not fared the way many have expected before the season began. The Rams continue to deal with multiple key injuries throughout the season. It was announced today that defensive end Aaron Donald will not be playing while injured. While injuries have derailed the expectations for the former Super Bowl champs, newly signed quarterback Baker Mayfield is set to make his debut. For the Raiders, this is a must-win game in order to keep their playoff chances alive. As of right now, the Black and Silver are 2 games out of holding on to a playoff spot. This game will kick off at 7:15 p.m., and you can find it exclusively on Amazon Prime Video. It's time to flip back the calendars and take a look at what happened on this day in sports history. Let's keep things on the hardwood. In 1961, Philadelphia Warriors center Wilt Chamberlain continued his dominance in the NBA, dropping a massive 78 points in a 3-overtime thriller win against the Los Angeles Lakers, 151-147. At the time, Chamberlain set the all-time record for most points scored, but it wasn't until next year Chamberlain beat his previous record, scoring 100 points against the Knicks. The record has yet to be touched. Now let's move ahead in time up to 2011. While NBA players were making their mark on the blacktop in pickup basketball games, the NBA and the Players Association ended their 161-day lockout. The lockout began after 22 different team owners wanted to find a resolution to stop losing monies for their franchises each year. After it ended, the NBA season was shortened by 16 games, while the first game of the year was yet to be played all until late December. Moving back into the news from throughout the nation, let's send it back over to our news desk as Dylan Walker has the latest in the sports world. Dylan?
Thanks, Zach. Brittany Griner is coming back to the U.S. This WNBA star was released from Russian detention as a part of a prisoner swap for convicted Russian arms dealer Viktor Bout. That's according to a source familiar with the situation. Bout is a former Soviet military officer who had been serving a sentence in the U.S. on numerous charges, including conspiring to kill Americans. Griner had been in the Kremlin's custody since February when she was arrested on drug smuggling charges. Paul Whelan, another American, the U.S. State Department says is being wrongfully detained in Moscow. He was not included in that prisoner swap. Star Shortstop Xander Bogaerts just got a new deal and a new team. Bogaerts has been with the Boston Red Sox since being drafted in 2013, but now he'll head to San Diego to join the Padres. It's an 11-year deal worth $280 million. It'll keep him in San Diego until he's 40 years old. Bogaerts is a 4-time All-Star and 2-time World Series champion with the Red Sox. His new deal is just the latest in a string of massive paydays handed out to free agents this offseason. That's all we have from the desk for the world of sports. Back to you, Zach.
Thanks for that, Dylan. Well, that'll wrap things up for this Thursday edition of the Daily O. Tune back in for the Daily O tomorrow as Brody Myers and Connor Bergen will have you covered for everything you need to know heading into the weekend. For the Daily O, I'm Zach Berger. Good night, everyone.
Hopes are when folks drink our water is that they'll drink it for a few days and find out the difference. They'll start feeling better because there's been no chemical in our water. There's a list of good things that we have. We don't have any bad things in it. I see the future of Divine Water as being worldwide, which will bring outside dollars into the state. It means a lot to me because I started it, I guess, and our family started it.
A Golf Digest 5-star course, best new public course won an Open in 1994, and a top 100 public golf course in America since 2003. This course, just 5 miles outside of Stillwater, Oklahoma on Highway 51, is named after one of the influential golf pioneers this game has known.
Karsten Creek.
Karsten Creek.
Karsten Creek.
Karsten Creek.
Karsten Creek's a modern golf course.
The beauty of the course is in large part to the elements of the grounds. The Georgia fairways transformed from its original forested landscape. Georgia was used to combat the tough winters so golfers could play year-round. The greens are large and sloping bent grass hills. The low-cut bent grass can be similar to glass during peak championship conditions. The bunkers surrounding most holes remind golfers of a white beach rather than a deep hazard. Lake Louise, surrounded by the second 9, completes the perfect finishing hole. The long par 72 course perfectly combines nature with the difficulty of a championship course. Karsten's added challenge is the Oklahoma wind.
So there aren't any other schools in the country that have that same commitment to college golf as we do here at Oklahoma State.
But if you're going to play at the highest level, you've got to be able to focus on where you want to go. And Karsten Creek does a good job of training you to do that, because if you don't, you're going to have a long day. And that's a great legacy that Coach Holder left, because that's the way he coached.